Hello, I wanted to help you do wet on wet technique with your watercolors for your spectrum project. You need some water, of course, in your watercolors. Make sure there's a paintbrush in there. And some scrap watercolor paper. Any paper would be okay too if you're at home. And you want to draw a few shapes, maybe just a few simple blobs, just to practice with. And shapes can go off the page too, that can be fun. And it's called wet on wet technique because you're going to wet down your shape with clean water, and then you'll put wet paint on top of it. So I have two water jars on purpose. One is going to be my rinsing brush, and check to make sure your brush is clean. And the other one I'm going to keep clean for my clean water to wet down my shapes. So that's what you start with first. Get some clean, clear water on there. Wet down the shape. If you stay in the lines, the paint will stay in the lines too. And then you decide what color you're starting with. On your final, you would have already had this planned out. I'll start with green. I'm going to put green on one side that green goes on, and go ahead and let it kind of bleed over about halfway. And then I'm going to rinse off the green. Now, if you have a few shapes that need to be green and blue, go ahead and do those at the same time on your final draft when you get to that. You don't need to work only one shape at a time. So I'm putting blue on this side because that's the next color in the color wheel. You could work the other direction too. I guess I could have done green and yellow. But let those colors bleed together. You don't want a nice clean line in between there. Now what if one color takes over too much? You can always use paper towel to absorb some of that away. I like the way this turned out. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to wet down my next shape with my clean water. And then I want to start with blue. I've even seen students use two different brushes. One that they use just to wet down their shapes, and another one for the colors. Okay, so getting blue about halfway in there and letting it bleed over. Watercolors used on wet technique are not going to be precise and exact. They're going to be a little messier and more organic on how they move. So the next color in the color wheel would be, let's see, green, blue, then violet. Not purple, right? So I'm putting some violet over here and letting it bleed into the blue. So I'm getting my blue violet in the middle. I'm going to add a little blue to that. Let them mix together. Don't overwork watercolor or it'll all turn to one color. You want to have those two separate colors and that mix kind of in the middle. All right. Enjoy doing your color flow. Keep your colors in order.